It's either the 20 million or an official apology from the administration, because ultimately my goal is not self-enrichment.
So if President Trump apologized, would you accept that?
If it's a formal apology, that of course would reverse his fascist agenda, then definitely I would accept that.
Mahmoud Khalil there at 30 Rock. The student activist the Trump administration made a symbol of its crackdown on protesters is holding the administration accountable for his detention. He filed a claim for $20 million in damages against the Trump administration this week, alleging he was falsely imprisoned, maliciously prosecuted, and smeared as an anti-Semite as the government sought to deport him because of his role in campus protests. Khalil's wife, Dr. Noor Abdallah, recorded the dramatic moment. He was arrested in March by plainclothes federal agents while returning home from dinner. She was 8 months pregnant at the time and delivered their son, Dean, while he was detained. Khalil was ordered released last month by a federal judge after 104 days in custody. Palestinian activist and grad student Mahmoud Khalil joins us now. Mahmoud, first of all, thank you so much for coming on this morning. You know, I want to talk about your claim first. Your claim calls malicious prosecution. You weren't charged with a crime, yet you were held for 104 days.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. As you said, I was detained for 104 days illegally. I missed the birth of my first child, all for literally protesting and speaking out for Palestine and against the genocide in Gaza. I was not in any way accused of any crime. And there must be accountability. That's why I'm bringing this lawsuit against the administration. Accountability for political retaliation. As the congressman before me said, Trump thinks that he's above the law. In fact, he thinks that he is the law. Which is very, very scary. That's why I'm trying to set a precedent with this lawsuit. If the government can disappear people for speaking out, for protesting, for being who they are, in my case, for being Palestinian, for being visible and vocal, then none of us is safe. No one in this country is safe from Trump overreach and from Trump's fascist agenda, as we're seeing now across the country. And that's why I'm demanding justice. That's why I'm demanding accountability.
Mr. Khalil. You were held in detention in Louisiana. Can you talk about what was that detention like?
I was detained in a facility that's 1,400 miles away from my home in New York. That was literally in the middle of nowhere. Basically, everything is pretty bad inside that facility, from food to sleep, privacy, you can name it. The fact that you have people there in such detention centers just for being undocumented, as they said, or in my case, just because I spoke out against the administration. That's really. It's a stain on the American consciousness. It's really a stain that this is happening right now in front of us. That there are thousands of people being kidnapped from the streets, kidnapped from their court hearings, and thrown into this detention just to meet a quota, just to meet the 3,000 quota that Stephen Miller somehow wanted to have, and this is what's scary with ICE operation in this country. That now we are reaching a point where they are not distinguishing between also being documented or even being a citizen, as a matter of fact, or any of that. They just want to spew fear in this community, and this is the main purpose of ICE current operations, is just to spread fear among everyone in this country.
I wanted to also say that your point is so important that you are at a for-profit prison, because now there is more money than ever going to be flowing to the prison industrial complex. And that was, a big part of why you were there for 104 days. At the end of the day, people are making money off of these detentions. Can you tell us about the status of your residency and citizenship application these days and what's going on with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just want to flag that every detainee costs taxpayers $140 every day. That's how these for-profit prisons profit off this detention, and that's why we're seeing the high number. And going back to your question, currently the federal judge ruled that my detention was likely illegal and constitutional, and based on that, he granted me bail. So this is the beginning of a very long legal fight. The Trump administration is waging a lawfare against me. They're taking every opportunity to slow down the process, to bring me back to prison, because their ultimate goal is to punish me for my speech, and they're trying to do everything possible to do that. However, we are confident that we will prevail, as we already prevailed in the federal court. However, they want to keep this case just about, always around my head, just so I would be worried and just to retaliate against any of my speech.
Mahmoud, you were arrested in New York on March 8th. You've been out for a couple weeks now. I'm curious, your case was kind of the symbol of what free speech can get you in this country, right? And if you say something that this administration doesn't like, you might find yourself snatched up by plainclothes officers and sent to New Jersey, then to Texas, to an ICE facility in Louisiana, despite having status in this country. What do you think the message of your arrest was, and who do you think that message was for?
It's absolutely a message of setting an example that if you oppose what this government wants, if you oppose in this particular case Israel, a close ally to the president and to the administration, that we will do everything, as the administration will do everything to punish you. And it's a message to everyone who dares to oppose the Trump administration, that they would create laws. They would go back to the 18th century to revive an obscure law, as they did in my case, going back to 1952. And this is what's really scary. And this is why they wanted to. Based on their words, they want my case to be a blueprint, a plan for how they would target others engaged in free speech.
Mahmoud Khalil, thank you so much for being with us.